Okay, so welcome all new makers and returning makers. As you have questions, you can feel free to unmute yourself and ask. You can just interrupt me. I don't mind that at all. Or you can put it in the chat. And I see that Valerie and Sam are on the call, and they are two of our advisory committee members. And so if you guys see anything, please interrupt me if or unless sometimes things will come up that I know I'm going to answer, so I may just say please hold. So what's happening? Okay, so I'm going to share my screen. First, let me get the okay for this. So this is like really like nitty gritty sort of info about the market that is helpful. I believe is very helpful for all makers to know. It helps to know what you're getting yourself into. It helps to quell anxieties the day of the event. And the most important thing that I believe wholeheartedly in this community of people is that you guys are all really wonderful, and you're really kind, and you're really nice. And like, we do have rules for a reason, and it's simply to make sure that everything goes smoothly for everyone. So we just ask you to follow the rules. There aren't a lot. You will see what the rules are as we go, and I will like hammer them in. But for the most part, we want you to come to the event. We want you to do well. We want you to sell well. We want this to be, an amazing show for everyone. So with that, I'm gonna share my screen, which I said I was gonna do a minute ago, but then I couldn't share this screen. All right, and then we're gonna start the slideshow. Dun, 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 dun. Okay, so you guys should be able to see, do you see the Handmade Arcade mission statement right now? Yes, great. Okay, fantastic. This is our mission statement. This is our vision. These are our values. We are very dedicated to them. It is very important to us that makers feel included and welcome, and the most important thing is we want you to develop professionally and make connections to consumers. That's the most important thing about, especially specifically the holiday market. And all of our programming is really year-round based around that. We are a nonprofit. We believe in the power of making. We've seen firsthand how this can transform lives and individuals and communities. And we pursue partnerships with organizations that also support youth and minority entrepreneurs. This year in particular, we started a new program for BIPOC makers. We're supporting 5 makers who are with grant money from Neighborhood Allies to help them uplift their businesses, which is exciting. And we have our largest youth maker cohort to date. We have 10 individual makers, 8, these numbers might be wrong, around 8 returning youth makers who are still aged into the program, and 10 entrepreneurial classrooms through the Real World Scholars Ed Corps program. So we really encourage our audience to think about the role of art and creativity and making in their own lives, which is why we host a large hands-on activity area at every event, where we bring in maker spaces and other nonprofits to do demonstrations. And we will have Pittsburgh Glass Center this year, as we have in the past. They will be doing their annual glass sale again this year at the event. The Union Project will be doing wheel throwing. Air and CAP students from Kappa will be doing screen printing. We will have a fabric artist. We will have Roderick Ramsey and a maker doing a community collaborative giant piece of art that he will then own, and other things. So if you want to find out more about all the hands-on activities, you can go to the website and go to the holiday market event, and they're all listed. The reason we do that is because we want to make sure that not only do people come and purchase things from Handmade Arcade, but they leave feeling inspired and knowing where they can go if they want to learn how to make something in the new year. Many people, will come to your table at Handmade Arcade and, you know, delight in what you have. But every once in a while you'll get a grumpy grumpster who will say like, oh, I can make that. But you know, they can't, or else they would be there also. So don't take that to heart. I had that said to me many times, when I was making, and I used to always say, you could, but you could also just buy it now, with my most cheerful voice, while on the inside I was growling. So last year was our most successful event. We had over 11,000 shoppers, and makers reported over almost $70,000 in sales in one day. Some makers made over $10,000. Some made, you know, 1,000. Some, it really depends on your product and how you present yourself, and it depends on your prices. Handmade Arcade is a gift market, so you want to really think about your prices being your items being priced to sell, in terms of somebody may come in and purchase a large gift item from you, but they're more likely to purchase a like a gift for someone else, and nobody's going to spend $600 on a gift for someone else, but they are going to spend 25 to 75 to 80. So think about that when you're pricing your projects. Allegory Gallery, do you have a question? Your hand is up. Okay, put your hand down, sir. So, it's a, you know, it's a great event. It's a huge platform for makers to be seen. As it says, the event's Friday, December 1st and Saturday, December 2nd. So we're going to start our holiday. Hopefully this week, we're going to start our media blitz. We will post every day on Facebook. So what we do when we post, we do it by category. So we'll like choose, it's totally random. So don't send me an email that says, I'm so sad you highlighted jewelry makers and I didn't get chosen. It's really random. We try to mix it up. We try to put new people in. So it's not personal. There's a lot of you. So we try to do different categories. We'll highlight the hands-on activities. We had a lot of sponsor support this year. So each sponsor will be given a day for a takeover. We do make a lot of videos, and I will be putting together a media kit that matches our branding that I can send to everyone. And you can add it. You can add it to your website. We'll do a kit. We do images that is just like our standard design for this year, which is the fun orange colors with ornaments. And I also send one that, if you're familiar with, you know, any kind of design software, we'll send one with some frames so you can plop your own products into it. So we get a lot of followers, and we will start to send it. We have we plan our email campaign so we don't overwhelm people, but they still know to come. Okay, so I'm just going to jump right into the event. So load in. Home Tweet Home, you have your hand up. Do you have a question? Okay, you're muted. So, okay.
Sorry, mistake.
That's okay. Randomly enough, I was at the Mount Lebanon Lebo artists event a few weekends ago, and I won the Home Tweet Home bird box. It's a birdhouse. It's so beautiful. It's so exciting. Okay, so load in. So we used to do load in on Saturday morning, and it was a nightmare. Everything about it was awful. It was awful, awful, awful. We started at 5 a.m. We would try to get 200 plus makers into the holiday market in less than 3 hours. Everyone was stressed. Everyone was freaking out. It was so hard to do. So when we found out we could start loading in on Friday, we changed it. We now load in on Friday. I'm actually pushing it back earlier this year than it was last year, because there are more makers this year than ever before. So the loading dock will open from 11 to 3. You will be assigned. I am working on the map. I'm going to show it to you later in the programming tonight. You will be assigned a load-in time. You need to load in during that time. If you're assigned a load-in time that absolutely positively doesn't work for you, you can reach out to me, but try to make it work. We can like configure things a little bit, but not for we try to space it out. The way we do it is we load from front in. And if we follow the load-in map and we follow the time, you will either be allowed to drive to your booth, or you will be asked to park on the loading dock, and the Teamsters will help you move into the hall. We will have people on the loading dock, either Handmade Arcade volunteers or convention center folks. Do not just park or pull up onto the ramp without checking in with someone. That causes chaos and congestion and confusion, the 3 C's that I hate. So to know, it's important when you come, you know what table number you are, so we can process you faster. If you do not need to drive on and your setup is not super intense, that's great. You can tell them I don't need to drive in, and you can park in the loading dock and use crates. That actually is can be a little bit faster sometimes if you have a ton of stuff, you will let you drive up. Now, this is the part of the meeting where these are some of the rules. We will only have 4 Teamsters. They have to adhere to certain rules regarding unloading and pushing carts. Please work with them. I always request a Teamster named Amy. She's hands down the nicest woman I've ever met in my life. I absolutely love her. I actually run into her randomly out in the world, and we get really excited and squeal and hug each other. They are there to help. Sometimes they get a little grouchy with us because there are a lot of us, and we can and 200 plus artists. And I include myself in this statement because it is an actual fact about me. We can get a little nervous, and we get a little high strung, and we're all we can be a little type A. So we just need to just take a deep breath. They will be helpful. They are really great folks, and we respect them. They work really hard for us. They get us in and out. They load us in, they load us out as fast as possible. And they are very, very helpful. The key is you drive up to your booth, you unload your car. You do not start setting up. You have to figure out how to pack your car and unpack your car in a way that doesn't require your car to be sitting there on the floor while you set up. Because if you keep your car on the floor setting up, you're blocking other people. They can't get in, they can't get out. It messes up the flow. So you unload your car as quickly as possible. You do not start setting up. Last year we had a maker last year, and this is like something that I don't normally share, but as all of you may have heard, this is my last year as the Handmade Arcade Executive Director. So I'm going to share a little insider secret. We had a maker last year who came in with 3 trucks. We asked them multiple times to move their trucks. They were rude to my volunteers. They were rude to the Teamsters. They were rude to me. They didn't get into Handmade Arcade this year. We keep track. Please follow this rule. It is crucial to getting in and out and making sure every person has their fair share of time to set up. So you unload your car as quickly. Yeah, I'm going to be sharing all sorts of insider tips tonight. I just decided because it's, what are you going to do? It's my last new maker meeting. So unload, stack all your stuff in your booth. Do not use your neighbor's table or put stuff in their space because the people around you are loading in at the same time, and that's super annoying. Make sure you pack your items for easy transport, and we cannot store anything for you. You have to be able to put it all in your booth, and if you have something you're like, oh, I have to build this and then put it back in my car, you have to figure out how to go park your car and get it back to your car. You cannot leave your car on the loading dock, and you cannot leave your car on the floor because there are just too many of you. So once your items are out of your car and at your table, return to your car immediately, leave the hall or loading dock. Please drive very slowly. Another pro tip. No one's ever gotten banned from Handmade Arcade for this, but every member of the planning committee and every Teamster has had a near fatal cardiac event every year because someone who doesn't know how to drive a U-Haul or a large truck or something drives way too fast onto that floor. Even if you're driving your little tiny, sedan, drive slow. Please drive super slow. It's not safe. Don't drive fast. And if you're driving a big car, go even slower. Park in one of the garages downtown. I have a list, which I'll share later, of the best one to park in. I would request that I would actually highly recommend you not park in the convention center parking lot on Friday because it's more expensive. If you park in the Greyhound lot, which we'll get to that later. I'll tell you exactly where it is. That's the least expensive one in the area, and it's only a block away from the convention center entry door. So park there, walk back, come in through the east lobby entrance. You'll come up the steps, and we'll be on the left. We'll have signage, and start setting up then. Again, do not start setting up before moving your car. Okay. So and again, we ask you not on Saturday to not park when you come back, to not park in the convention center lot because so many people come to Handmade Arcade that we ask you guys not to take those spaces. And it's more expensive. The convention center lot for the day will be like $15, but if you park at the Greyhound bus station, which is not called that anymore, I think it's called we'll get to what it's called. That's what I have always called it though. it's like $6 for all day Saturday. So that's really your best bet. And it's a huge lot. So it's a safe lot. If you are spending the night at one of the hotels, you have to arrange for how to park your car overnight. That doesn't come with the room. I don't actually know exactly what that means, but when you make a reservation, I would call after you make your reservation and ask them about parking your car overnight, because that's something you'll have to work out with the Westin. So when you come in, you'll come in from Fort Duquesne Boulevard. There is a vendor entrance loading dock at the end, and the security guards at Handmade Arcade, at the convention center, are a strange lot of folks. Sometimes they're incredibly kind. Sometimes they're really, really mean. Sometimes they pretend like they don't know there's a huge market happening at the convention center that day. So it's you just never know. So be patient, be kind. I spend a lot of time during load in and load out on the phone with our event planner, to asking her to ask the security guys to be nicer and to be a little more helpful. So just, that's something to be aware of. So you're going to want to come in the east lobby doors, which are on the side of, the convention center has that like center. I don't know, I think it was a water feature at one point, but I think it's empty now. On 10th Street, you'll come in the east lobby doors or the west lobby doors. We are on the west lobby side, but we usually tell people to come in the east lobby doors because it's closer to where we're telling you to park. Here are just some pictures from Google Maps of what it looks like. So this is the Fort Duquesne Boulevard. And this is, if you go past this, there's a stoplight here. If you pass the entrance, you've got to go all the way around the block. And if you do it wrong and you're from out of town, you could end up going across a bridge, which is the worst case scenario. So when you come down Fort Duquesne Boulevard, drive very slowly, and you'll see there's a loading dock entrance. It's not well marked. Sometimes they have an A-frame out there, but you're going to want to, you'll be coming from, this is coming from the Strip District, and then so if you go straight, you may end up on a bridge. If you miss it and you get to this light, if you get to that light, you've gone too far. So make a left and go up here, and then you'll be able to go around the block. So I'll just go back and look at that again. Here it is from the aerial shot. It is right there on Fort Duquesne Boulevard, and I will be sharing these slides, so you don't have to write this all down. And I will be sharing this presentation. So you'll go in here, and there will be this. So these will be closed. There will be a security guard here, and I believe I believe we'll be going up the ramp because we're on the second floor this year. Yeah, we'll definitely be going up the ramp. So they'll direct you up the ramp. Hopefully, it will go smoothly. Okay, so this is the map this is not this year's map. I'm going to show that to you at the end of this event. This is here because this is the map. These are the two halls that we used in 2021. This was one of the smaller shows we've ever done. It was right after the pandemic. We were very mindful of spacing and keeping everyone apart from one another. But you'll see that we have two ramps that we can go in. So we will load in. You'll see so when you get your load in times, you'll see these are the assigned load in times from 2021. You'll see that they'll be interspersed by every half an hour, and this will all be sent, but you can see it's color coded. So half of you who are that load in time, the first section of load in, will be able to come on ramp C. Some of you will come on ramp B. This is an ideal situation because we can have two ramps, two cars coming in at once. It makes for a much less stressful load in situation. So again, I'll share this information. Load in time this year, I pushed it back an hour because people asked for more time last year. That was one of the biggest pieces of feedback that we heard. So you'll be loading in from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m., which gives you until 5 p.m. to be set up for the Friday night happy hour. There will be 4 Teamsters on site to help. We ask you to arrive during your assigned time. We usually give everyone a half an hour to come in and out. It should be enough. And then you leave the loading dock, park, and then come in and set up. My cell phone is here. My cell phone is also on the vendor information page at the bottom. If something goes really wrong and you're not going to make it, or you're going to be late, or something happens, you can text me, tell me your name, tell me your vendor name, tell me that something's gone wrong, and you can either tell me what's gone wrong and when your arrival time will be, or you can ask me to call you back. I will let you know. And the planning committee knows this. I lose my cell phone every Handmade Arcade, although I've started to wear a fanny pack, so that has changed over the past 2 years. And I can't hear it. It's very hard to hear your phone in the convention center. So I will check it, and I check it often because I know that things happen and people are texting me, but you're better off texting me than calling me, because then I get the message and then I can call you back if I need to, or I can text you back. And I do have a great group of like volunteers who are there every year with me, who will remind me to check my phone, who will like just randomly be like, hey, Trisha, where's your phone? So that is good to know. Okay, so here are the parking garages. Your best option is the Grant Street
I have a question. I'm sorry for interrupting.
No problem.
Yeah, so I know you said you're gonna assign the time based on the table, and such. Is
Yes.
it possible to request an earlier time? Could
Yes.
I remember sending you an email asking about, like, if I be able to come in and drop off my stuff at 11, like the
Yes.
earliest time? Like, I don't know if that's possible.
Yeah, that's totally possible. So the way it works is, so many people will need to switch their times. You're going to need to come in. You're going to get assigned a time. You may get assigned to 3 o'clock load in time. Well, it won't be that late, but you may get assigned to 2 o'clock load in time. And you're like, I can't, I got to come at 11. And somebody's going to get assigned in a load in time at 11 o'clock. And they're going to be like, I can't come till 2. It works out. Just text me or send me an email and let me know that you need a time. When you filled in when you paid for your table, there was a section for special requests. If you added that in that special request section, we honor those. We do our best to honor those. It is not a big deal to switch your loading time. So just let us know that if you get like placed somewhere where it's not doable for you, just let us know and we can make it happen. That is not a big deal. No, that said, don't everybody call me up and be like, hey, Trisha, I have to come at 11, because I know from 13 years of experience that you all do not need to be there at 11. So I will say no, I guess, if it happens for too much, but it usually works out pretty well. So the best option is the Grant Street Transportation Center, which I call the Greyhound bus station. It's about a 2-block walk, or 2 blocks or 6-minute walk. This information is on the vendor info page, so you can go there. I definitely, and then Smithfield and Liberty is the second closest. You will have to pay an hourly rate on Friday. The Grant Street Transportation is the least expensive in the city. I would recommend that. You can also do the Go Mobile Park app, but that's used at your own risk. We have had vendors who tried to do that and pay hourly and get tickets in the past, and we can't help you if you get a ticket. And then on Saturday, there's also a lot of outdoor lots in the Strip District, but it says online that they close at 4:45, but I've seen them open later. So again, you can try that. I try to like have that more for attendees, but really I think the Grant Street Transportation is your best bet, and it's $5 on Saturdays. Okay, so do I have Friday? Okay, we're going to talk about the preview part. Okay, so that's event, that's load in. That's where you should park. I'm going to skip forward to the Friday night preview party. So this is one of the things that we discovered a couple of years ago, I don't know, in like 2017, that loading in on Friday made it a lot more sense for everyone. It was much less stressful. So we then turned it into a fundraiser. As a nonprofit, we don't have a big fundraiser. We try to do mailing. I did a mailing this year. You may have gotten it. I've done email campaigns. Like, people individually don't give us money. They think of us as a market. They don't think of us as like a nonprofit that does year-round programming. So it's not really successful, but our big fundraiser is the Friday night preview party. So we ask that you use all vendors. You need to be there from 5 to 7:30. That was part of the application when you signed up. So hopefully that won't pose a problem. In the past, we've sold around 600 tickets. We've given away 200. It's been getting more and more popular. I'm hoping to sell at least 1,000 tickets this year. Now, it'll feel like it's an empty room because it is such a big room and there are over 250 of you. But last year, makers reported that about $70,000 was sold of amount of products. So people are coming to buy. The people who come Friday night want to miss the crowds. They're there to shop. As vendors, you are allowed to have helpers at your booth. You do not have to buy them a ticket. If your mom or your partner or your Aunt Shirley or your cousin Jean or your best friend Sally wants to come to Handmade Arcade and avoid the crowds, they can be your helper that night. You do not need to buy them a ticket. You just need to tell them when they come in as a volunteer that they are your helper, and they can come in, they can watch your booth for you. It gives you an opportunity to walk around and meet makers and see what other folks are selling. And it gives them an opportunity to walk around in a crowd-free environment. It is an opportunity for you to, a low stress way to make early sales. And more importantly, you'll get to set up you'll have time to set up. You can still be setting up and tweaking during this event. Again, we used to start this at 5 a.m. on Saturday and it was just too hard. So this is much more fun. There will be a cash bar and there will be concessions. And one of the things, well, I'll talk about that when I talk about the day of. So you can have a drink, you can eat food, you can bring food, you can order food, you can do whatever it is you like. We just want you to be there and be ready to make sales. Okay, so where am I? I'm going to skip forward. Let's see. Oh, okay. So more Friday night details. Cash bar, concessions will open at 5. The convention center is now cashless, so you'll have to have a card. When the event ends, I will announce that it's going to end around 7:15, 7:30. I will be like, get out, you got to go, because I will have been there since really early that morning. We ask you guys to try and leave the hall by 7:45. Please don't linger. Please don't hang around. If you have someone at your table still shopping or buying something, try to wrap up that purchase as fast as possible. Take your cash with you and go. The convention center, once I give them the okay, they lock the hall, they shut the lights off. Your stuff is safe. They have security overnight. We don't have to worry about that. Just take any cash you have on hand with you. The next morning, you can return as early as 7 a.m. I recommend coming as early as you can get there. In the past, we never know what other conventions are going to be at the center that weekend. We've had cheerleading competitions, we've had other sales. Parking can be rough, especially if there are cheerleaders there. They take up all the space in the room and the oxygen, and they use all the glitter. So, and the hairspray. So you want to make sure you leave with enough time to get back into the convention center by 7 a.m. You can enter through the front door of Halls B's and see this. I should have changed that. You have to be back and at your booth by 8:30. The early bird shopping hour is another fundraiser that we do for people who want to shop on Saturdays, who want to come in early for a little bit less money, and miss the crowds. We are giving an extra half an hour to that this year. So that starts at 9. So you need to be back at your booth at 8:30. And I can tell you that we have had makers hit traffic, have a hard time parking, like left with more than enough time to get there early and still been stressed that morning. So really plan, your day around like complications. Okay. So event day expectations. I missed these. This should be Hall B and C. We'll reopen at 7. Be at your table and ready to sell. That should be 8:30. The early bird shoppers will enter at 9. General public enters at 11. It's a nonstop crowd until late afternoon. So my advice to you is wear comfortable shoes. This floor is concrete. Your body will ache the next day. Consider buying an anti-fatigue mat. Vendors who stand smeely and engage with shoppers sell better. There's a comma there that shouldn't be there. So just, be prepared to stand in shops, smile and sell. If you're not good at that, again, you can have helpers all day. At the convention, you can have helpers at your booth. I suggest bringing someone with you who's good at talking to strangers if that's not your forte. Many artists are not great at that. Wear layers. This is another pro tip of the convention center. I have no control over your table if you are under an air vent. If you are under an air vent, there's no way for me to know that. There's no way for me to control that air will be blowing onto your booth. You may be cold. Wear layers, bring layers. Conversely, you may be placed kind of far from an air vent. It can get hot. Wear layers. It is a green building. They will only do so much to control temperatures. There's not much I can do. The only thing I can do is ask them to turn it down if it gets really hot in the hall, which last year I walked into the hall at 6:30 in the morning and I was like, is this menopause? Is this the hall? What is happening? I was like, I didn't know. And then one of my volunteers got there and she's much younger than me. And she walked in and she was like, why is it so hot in here? And I was like, okay, great. This is not me. This is not a me thing. So we had them turn it down, but it took a long time for the heat to go down and to cool off. Bring food and water. Concessions will open early before the early birds. They will have breakfast sandwiches and coffee. But once the doors open, it's hard to leave your table. So make sure you bring yourself food and water. We are going to have a woman who does Korean barbecue, vegan, and really delicious food I can't remember the name of her business, Sam or Val, if you remember, say it out loud. Hondu. She is we're going to organize with her to take orders. She did this last year. So we'll send an email out where you can place an order with her. And she's got some other food vendor friends who last year she took orders and delivered lunch to makers. It was great. People who partook in it loved it. So we're going to do that again. And she and I talked in the spring about her having, other food vendors that she is friends with, putting something together. So you can order food and have it delivered. Or you can buy food from the concessions. The concessions food isn't awful, but it's not not awesome either. Bring helpers, you need them. They can bypass the lines. If somebody is coming to help you, say for like a 2 o'clock shift, and there's a line of people get in the door, we'll have a line with a sign that says vendor volunteers and helpers, vendor booth helpers enter here, and you can just go in that side door. And volunteers are available to if you need a break. If you know you're going to be there alone on Saturday, or you know you're going to be there alone for a period of time on Saturday, come up to the welcome table, find Joyce. She is our volunteer coordinator. Hopefully she won't have COVID and the flu again this year like she did last year. And we will write your name down, and we will make sure that we have volunteers check on you periodically if you're alone, because we want to make sure you have a chance to take breaks. Unfortunately, if we have to watch your table, we can't sell for you for like liability issues, and we can't go and buy food for you, but we can watch your table while you run to the restroom, or watch your table while you go and get food. And we're at the welcome table, and I'll show you where that's going to be in a few minutes here. Okay, so Saturday setup. If by some fluke, crazy reason, something comes up and you cannot, like last year, a maker. So first of all, you applied to Handmade Arcade knowing it's a Friday and Saturday show. So like if you need to be able to take work off, like you've known for months, you need to be able to take Friday off of work. I'm sorry. I know that can be a burden for some people, but it shouldn't be a surprise. But if something crazy happens and you can't come on Friday, like last year, a maker called me 2 weeks before the event, and she said, Trisha, I have to pull out of the event. And I said, why? What's happening? And she said, we have been on a list to adopt a baby. That baby is ready, and that baby has been born, and we are going to Texas to get the baby, and we will not be back to set up for Handmade Arcade in time. And I said, well, when are you going to be back? And she's like, we're not going to be back until midday Friday. And I said, you know what? You can come and set up on Saturday morning if you want to, if you can manage it, if you can handle it, because this maker was a new maker. She made wooden toys. I was like, you have to be here. Your stuff is so cool. You will sell so much. You will do so well. I was like, if you want to send other family members, other people to come, we'll work it out. So if something like crazy like that happens and you can't come on Friday, let me know. We'll work it out. But for the most part, please try to get there on Friday. Again, for Saturday, you have to be ready to go. And all of this is the same thing. If you have to load in on Saturday, on the East Lobby side of the 10th Street underpass, there's a drop off and pull in. You just flip your flashers on. You'll have to have your own cart. You'll have to be able to get your stuff up the elevator on your own, and get everything up to the halls. And there's a security guard who can direct you to the elevator. It's like back behind the security guard table. You'll want to drop your stuff off at your table, go park your car, and come back through. Okay, loadout. So we're changing the timing of Handmade Arcade this year. We're starting at 9 and we're ending at 6. Over the past couple of years, we've realized that nobody comes to Handmade Arcade after 5:15 or 5:30 or so. So that 6 to 7 hour was like literally torture. So we've cut out the 6 to 7 hour. We're selling timed tickets. Well, we're not selling. We're asking people to register for free timed tickets from 11 to 5, and from 5 to 6 is just the doors will close at 5. And now if someone shows up at 5, if so few people will show up after 5, then we will let them in. It's not a big deal, but we are trying to cut the day a little shorter because that last hour really is slow. So shoppers will leave at 6 p.m. and we will open the loading dock doors. So what we ask you to do before you go to your car is pack up your entire table if you can. Pack up absolutely everything you can possibly pack up so that when you go and get your car, you drive right up, pack your car up, and drive right out. It makes it so much faster for everyone if you follow this particular rule. Pack up as much as you can. If you have stuff that you need to like take apart and put in the things that you need to take it apart with are in your car, that's okay, but pack up as much as you possibly can before you get your car. Last year, a convention center employee decided to park their electric car on a ramp and plug it in and block our loadout. That was a nightmare. So hopefully that won't happen again. But if for any reason you get to the convention center loading dock and the security guard is not letting you in, text me or call me and I'll try and find out why. Don't leave trash in your space. The convention center will put out extra garbage and recycling when the event is done. So yeah, and you can pack up. If you can pack up and walk out that front door and be picked up on 10th Street, that's like a really smart move. Try your best to, if you can do that, because you'll be in and out of there so fast, because the driving up the loading dock, it does get backed up because everyone's trying to do it at once because it's not timed. It's all at once. We ask you to try to be packed up and out by 7:30. You leave your tables and chairs in your space. This can be hectic, but don't dilly dally and don't freak out either. We get it done within our time frame. And again, we'll have Teamsters that come in at the end to help us again. That's the Friday night preview party. More details, I already went over that. Okay, so marketing at the event. I mean, if you've been doing events or if you're new, this is always a good, good reminder. You want to have your vendor company name and sign, name on a sign somewhere. You want to make sure it's above your table. You don't want to put it like on your table. You want to make sure it's above your head in some way so that people can see it, because it gets so crowded that if somebody has been viewing the virtual market and they want to make sure they find you as a maker and they saw you in the virtual market and they're walking and they have the map and they're walking around looking for you, but they don't have your name of your business isn't above your head and your table is crowded, they're not going to find you. Make sure you have pricing on everything and have your prices clearly marked and have signs about your pricing. It gets so crowded that some people won't want to wait to ask you. If they really want something, they may stand and wait to ask you. But if they kind of want something and it's not marked, they're not going to wait to ask you. But if it is marked, they may stop and be like, oh, I'm definitely going to buy this. Make sure that your products are identifiable. If they're not obvious, you want to like put a little description on your tags, or highlight what's unique about them, so that people love to upcycle, zero waste, locally made, scavenged wood, raccoon bones I found in the woods, like anything you do that makes you that stands out. Make sure you let people know. Make sure you have business cards or postcards or a QR code that people can scan. There are a lot of people who come to Handmade Arcade who don't shop, who don't buy anything, but they come to get business cards and postcards. There are a lot of shoppers from stores who come to Handmade Arcade who will pick up business cards and if they like what they see and then contact you later for a wholesale order. So you want to have something that people can walk away with. If you want to be environmentally friendly, that's fine, but you want to consider having a QR code that people can scan. If you have a website, have it up and ready for after event sales. People will come back to your website and shop after the event. Happens all the time. If you have some really unique items that you have on your website, you only have one of, like if you do one of a kind jewelry, make sure that if you bring it to the show, it's not on your website, because you don't want to sell it at the show and then have someone go to the show at 11 a.m. and then go to your website at like 2 p.m. and try and buy the earrings that sold at 1:30. So make sure you don't have like one of a kind items at your table and on your website. Your business account. Oh my gosh, look at this. This is crazy. Don't hashtag Handmade Arcade 2019. It's 2023. Just hashtag Handmade Arcade. We don't do the year anymore. You can tell I update this every year. I take an old event and I update it every year. But you want to have your Instagram. Like I said, I'll send a media kit with images. You definitely want to let people know you're going. And in the email that I sent today, I sent the Facebook event pages, and I sent the Eventbrite ticketing pages. Again, even though it's free, we ask people to register for tickets. So if you can somehow let people who are coming know that. Also invite your network on Facebook. I know that that's like old school grandma, social media behavior. I'm an old school grandma. I'm not actually a grandma yet, but I feel like one many days. But the people who come to Handmade Arcade and spend the most money are the Facebook demographic. So if you're on Facebook and you have a network, please share it with them. Invite them. Okay, so this is where
sorry for interrupting again. Yeah, so when you were talking about the pricing, it's like, okay, I can understand, like having the like price tags, saying like okay, the keychain is $7.50, 2 for 13. The thing that I have noticed that kind of get people a little bit iffy is that I charge taxes on my stuff,
Charge
and I'm
taxes.
like,
Wrap the taxes into your price. Charge a flat rate. Don't charge any change. Don't do $7.50. Do $8. Go use your point of sale system. Use your Square Reader, whatever it is you use. Put your prices in. Tell them to include tax, and it'll give you a nice round number. Tell everyone tax is included in the price. Don't charge taxes. You will regret it. This is like some of the best advice I can give to a maker at an event this big that moves this much product. Add taxes into your price and make a sign that says taxes included in the price, and just have a flat fee. Does that make
okay,
sense?
now to go wrestle with my Zettel terminal.
Yeah, I can,
Charge
if you want
tax
to message me
immediately.
privately, Rebecca, I'm happy to talk you through that. It's not that hard to do. It's actually a lot. I actually was like, that's going to be a pain in the ass, but it's actually a lot easier to do than you think. So, and you can also, if you don't want to price everything, like let's say you sell earrings, but they're all different, but they're all priced the same. You don't necessarily have to tag every pair of earrings. You can put, dangle earrings, $40, studs, 25. Like you can just have a sign with your pricing on it. If that's easier for you, but just make sure pricing is viewable.
I'm going to chime in just to say that I don't include prices on my, or I'm sorry, don't include tax on my signage, but the Square automatically calculates it for me, and I've never had somebody have an issue with that. I don't do coins and change. I just say it's built into cash, and then I just cover it. If you're paying cash, I'll just handle it later. I just find it easier. I don't have time to count out nickels at that show, but I don't think you have to change your signage or everything. If anyone gives you shit about it, I mean, everybody has to pay their taxes, so no one's allowed to give you grief over that. Let us know. We'll send Trisha
Sam's on the planning committee. She's an actual maker who sells regularly at Handmade Arcade and does really well. So if you have any specific questions about that, email me and then I'll just forward it to Sam and she can answer it for you. Thanks, Sam. But yeah, I don't do your best to not nickel to have coins. That's just a nightmare. Round things up in a way that you don't have to have coins. Follow our social media pages, share stuff in your stories. Join the private Facebook group. I've probably sent that link out a gazillion times. If you tried to join and you didn't put the right name, the right answer, I declined your membership to it. Because I accessed. So here's something that happened this year. That was two things have happened this year that you guys I'm going to tell you about right now. One, your first vendor email that I sent to you, I flipped the tag. So instead of sending it to the 270 makers that got accepted to Handmade Arcade, I sent it to the 14,000 people who didn't get accepted to Handmade Arcade, and you guys didn't get it. So that had a flurry of people saying, or it was a nightmare for about 2 days. So during that time, if you tried to join the Facebook page, you may have people tried to join the Facebook page that weren't actual makers. So some folks may have gotten declined that shouldn't have been. So if you tried to join and you didn't get in, try again. And then secondly, for the first time ever in my life, I accidentally deleted the entire database of special requests in end caps. However, I saved it right before I accidentally did that. And then I lost about a day and a half worth of special requests in end caps. I know that everyone paid. I know how much you paid. I know if you requested an end cap or electricity based on your payment. If you made a special request, we will try to honor those. If you're one of the people whose information I accidentally deleted and you did make a special request, and when I send the map out, you can message me and say, hey, I requested to be near the bathroom. We can like work that out. So yeah, that's super fun. Little thing that happened, two things that happened this year. Don't forget about insurance. In the terms and conditions, we talk about how you're responsible for carrying insurance. We recommend if you don't carry business insurance, you look into that and do that. If you carry business insurance, you can add Handmade Arcade as for a 2-day event on it. If you don't have insurance, you can check out ACT insurance for good prices. That's artists, craftsmen, and tradesmen. They have a yearly policy. They have a per event policy. We don't get any money from them. It's just an easy, understandable insurance policy. You're all responsible for collecting and paying your taxes and having licenses and all of that. We don't have to report when we used to have to get a permit to have this event at the convention center, and then the city changed the way they do things. We don't have to get a permit anymore. When we used to have to get a permit, I used to have to provide the city and the state with a list of all the vendors, which meant that you would get flagged for taxes. We don't have to do that anymore. If you make under, I think, $12,000 a year as a handmade business or a small business, you do not have to, like, your tax bracket, it's different. But you do need to be responsible for that. We just can't help you or give you too much of advice. This went out today in the email that I sent. We ask all makers to make a donation to our raffle basket. We usually end up having about 25 baskets that we raffle off. It brings in about $3,000 to $5,000 for the holiday market for us, which allows us to then have the hands-on activities and put some of the money towards the youth makers. It's one of the ways we raise money. It's not required that you donate something, but it's really helpful for us if you do. In the email that I sent today, there's a link to a spreadsheet. If you would like to donate, there are 3 addresses on there. You can mail it to the Brentwood address, which is my home address. You can drop it off to Val's address, which is in Carnegie. Val, I put in the email that there will be a bin, a clearly marked bin by your garage. So you might want to get that out.
Yep.
And then
it'll have the Handmade Arcade logo on the outside of it, so you'll know that's the correct spot.
so that's in Carnegie, and then there's a Morningside location. That's Tara. She runs our hands-on activities. She lives on the corner. You go up this steep set of steps, and she's got a double door. You open up the first door, it's always unlocked, and it's like a small mud room. The second door is always locked, and you can put it on a bench there. If you don't feel comfortable opening up her door and putting something in there, you can just leave it on the front porch. It's safe. People can't really see her porch from the street. You'll see it's a hill. Or if you want to drop it off in Brentwood at my house, that's fine. Just put it behind the bush to the left, either on the chair, under the chair. And if my dog is out, we don't usually let him out without watching him, but if he's out, you can always text me and say, hey, I want to drop something off, but your crazy dog is out. So that's really helpful. We do some really great promotions with the raffle baskets. It really helps Handmade Arcade into the next year. Wi-Fi, there's no free internet service at the convention center, and they don't make it easy to get on the Wi-Fi. When you get, I'll send out a form, I'll put on the info page a how to sign up for the internet, but even though we give that, it doesn't always seem to work. You go to the convention center, you open up your browser, and you can sign up for the internet. We can't pay for it for you. It's like $70 some per connection. To turn it on in the room, it's like $7,000. It's I recommend trying not to use it. I recommend using your data plan on your phone or creating a mobile hotspot for your payment plans if you can. And then with that, wait, where's electricity? No, with that, we'll talk about electricity. I thought I had a thing about electricity. No, so at this point once the map goes out, you have to pay for electricity. The convention center charges us $135 per plug that we use. So we turn around and we have to give that fee back to you. So we charge $75. Unless you have to have electricity to show you make lights or something that you do has to be plugged in to show how it works. I really recommend you don't need electricity. You can bring mobile chargers, you can bring battery chargers, you can do battery packs for lights. We're on the second floor. We have natural lights, we have sunlights. You really don't need electricity unless it's really imperative. Like if you're a jewelry maker and you have fine jewelry and you have cases with lights, that's one thing, but you really don't need electricity. So the majority of our makers, I think maybe about 10 to 20 will get electricity every year out of over 250. So you can work around that. Okay, so the virtual catalog. So we built a virtual market during the pandemic. It was really popular and we want to keep using it. If you've already been a maker, you already have a page, you can log in at any time and start setting things up. If you're new, I have to create you a page, and I plan on doing that. I'm trying to get that done this week. I have a very comprehensive, step-by-step how to set up your virtual catalog page, instruction sheet, and we have videos that you can watch that were made for the original catalog. So it's a little different, but not. One of the things that I think is really important to know about the virtual catalog is that we had over 30,000 people come to the Handmade Arcade website last year, and each user spend an average of like 3 minutes on our website, which is a ton of time to be on a website. And they were looking at your virtual catalog pages. They were people who were coming to the event, not coming to the event, couldn't come to the event, had to work, wanted to see who was there. People were shopping. It's a really great opportunity for your business to be seen. We get a lot of exposure on our website. We'll open the virtual catalog on Monday, November 20th. We'll start telling people to, we try to like, I talk about it like it's like the catalog, the toy catalog when you were a kid. You can go, there are hearts, you can favorite your heart, you can favorite the makers you want, you can make a list of who you want to go and see. If you want, so there, one of the functionality of the catalog that doesn't exist, which I wish did, but I think it's cost prohibitive at this point for us to add it, would be to now add like your table number to it. But if you want to go into your narrative and change it and say, hey, come see me at table 135, you can, and that way people will be able to find you on the map more easily. It's really like a missed opportunity for you not to participate in the virtual catalog. I can't force you to do it. I say that it's required, but again, I can't force you to do it. But it's a really big missed opportunity because so many people come to the website to see who's going to be there before the event. And then after the event, we'll leave it open through the end of the year. So that if somebody came to the event and didn't buy from you, but they took your business card and they want to find you again, or they didn't make it to Handmade Arcade, or they're like, oh, I saw this maker who makes these really cool, upcycled, I don't know, earrings. They can go and like search through all the jewelers until they find you and possibly make a sale through that. If you know how to like if you know how to do like SEO and check your Google Analytics, you'll be able to see that things have come from the virtual market. And we get a lot of reports that people are coming from the virtual market. You don't have to do products anymore. When it was like a market, not a catalog, we had it set up so people could actually have 10 products. You don't have to do that anymore. You just need to do a narrative, it's a slideshow, and like some social media stuff so people can find you. Okay. So that is everything. Let me stop the share. I see there are a lot of questions. All right. Okay. Oh, here we go. All right. I'm going to start up here. Blah, blah, blah. I'm doing the same. I vote. Okay. We all voted on skipping my parent-teacher conferences. Thank you so much. I didn't want to go to them anyway. Good call in the hall. I agree. Friday loading is the best. I'm spilling the tea. Yeah, don't get a U-Haul if you aren't familiar with it. There is not time for that. Thank you, Lucy. Great advice. Greyhound parking garage. Street parking downtown is free after 6. It is free after 6, but you will be loading in much earlier than 6. So you won't be able to participate in that. Yeah, you could do that. Starbucks for the security guards. Hairpin turn. All right. Is there any questions specifically? Glitter and tears? I know. Oh, Lucy, you're a newly minted competition dance mom. Boo, you poor thing. Ginny,
I will add in here that I was one of the people one year who came late, not to my intention, and it was the Bowden sample sale that was there. And it was a freaking nightmare. It was a sea of white Escalades, and there was parking not to be found anywhere. So definitely get there early on Saturday.
Yeah, I remember that. You were upset. That was hard. Yeah. The lighting in the hall is really bright. It's natural lighting. Even if it's an overcast day, it's very good lighting in the hallway. And it's well lit once the sun goes down. Small flag type signs. Yeah, you can have really, you have a 10 by 10 space. Every maker has a 10 by 10 space. Every maker will be given an 8. Oh, this is important. An 8 by 2.5 foot table and 2 chairs. You do not have to use your table. If you don't want your table, you can just pull it into the aisle and we will have the convention center folks pick it up. But you have to stay within your 10 by 10 booth unless you paid for an expanded booth, which is a 20 by 10 booth, and you'll know that you paid for an expanded booth because you paid $700. If you have a craft corridor booth, if you paid $175, you have an 8 foot by 8 foot booth which is a 6 foot table. So you just have to make sure whatever you do stays within that footprint. You can go as high as you want. In fact, when I do the like display, when I do like a display presentation, I talk about using your vertical space and like going high in a smart way so that people can see your stuff. I see a question, is that I don't want to mispronounce your name.
Yamaya is Yamaya.
Yamaya. Okay. What's your question?
Okay, so if the space is 10 by 10, I'm like very spatially unaware. So that there'll be an 8-foot table.
Yes.
I wanted to do another table, but I'm thinking like a 6-foot table might be too much.
No,
It won't be too much.
you can do an L.
Okay.
I can show you guys once we're done with this. If you want to stay on, I have like a display presentation that's just pictures, and then I can also share with you, and you can look and see what it is. One of the things, I'm actually spatially challenged as well, which is why my car looks like a bumper car, because I can't parallel park, but yet I do all the time. What I would recommend doing, if you have space like in your basement or your kitchen or your dining room, even if it's not like an actual 10 by 10, get a tape measure, tape the corners, and then sort of like play around with a setup at home. I've done that at home in my dining room. I don't have like a big dining room, but when I used to vend, I would do like a pre-setup at home with my dining room table and one of my pop-up 6-foot tables. And then I would like take a picture of it and sort of get an idea. And that will help you pre-plan how you're going to set your table up. And like I said, when we're done, I'll show you some pictures when we're done with all of this. But you can definitely have 2 tables. You can even have 3 tables if you place them correctly. And if you don't want to use the 8.5 by the 8-foot table and a couple 6-foot tables, you can do that as well. Brian had a question, and then I see Bob.
So we'll be back to back with other vendors. Is there a partition between them, or should we?
Let me show you the map now that you're
Okay.
No, so you should create. In fact, you know what? I'm going to pull up my vendor display booth. First, I'll show you the map, and then we'll do that. Yeah, you should create something for yourself. Like you can buy on Amazon a photographer stand for about $35, and you can use that. You can drape a sheet on it. You can buy a backdrop for it. You can buy a sign for it. But I would use that as a backdrop of some sort. I would definitely try and figure out a way to create a backdrop that creates sort of a wall for you. And I'll show you why. I have a really great, it's really kind of hilarious actually, presentation. And I'm gonna show you right now. So I was a maker for a couple of years. I wasn't great at it. I'm a much better event planner. I'm going to share my screen and show you guys the booth display. So this was me. This was my best friend, Sarah. This was my table. You could see the woman behind me was also one of the Handmade Arcade. She was one of the organizers. We were organizers. We like made on the side. We don't have a backdrop, but you can see that like you want to have a backdrop. This maker made record coasters from records, and so they bought the $35 Amazon photography like backdrop, and then they made a backdrop using the album covers of the records that they used to make their products. This is another example of something you can do. Just like this woman, these were like on hinges, and she would pop them up and tighten them, and then she hung this behind her, and that worked well for people to be able to see her sign. You don't necessarily have to have a full backdrop, but you will be back to back with makers. Here are just some other quick displays. Here's an L table like I was talking about. And I can share this with you. This is really just a bunch of pictures. This maker he created this t-shirt stand. So he had all these t-shirts, kind of like a concert thing, and you would go in there and say, I want the yellow one in a large, and he would pull it out of a bin for you like you were at a concert. And then here, let me show you the table. Nope, that's not it. Where is it? I started working on the hall map today, and I'm waiting for the convention, my convention center contact to give me the okay for it. Okay, so your tables will be back to back. These are 10 by 10 booths. There will have a little bit of space between them. The map is a little deceptive. There will be a little space between them. They'll be chalked out on the floor and they will be numbered. We will take your number. It'll be taped to the tabletop, so you'll be able to find your number. The aisles between each booth row will be 35 feet, 40 feet on the ends, and then there'll be an aisle down the center so people can cut through. So the small ones are the craft corridor, the emerging makers, and those are the 8 by 8 foot ones. Okay, so Rob, I believe, had his hand up. Did I answer your question? I see
that.
Lucy. Oh, go ahead. Oh, Bob, I'm sorry, Bob, I apologize.
Fine. Just wanted to add the way that before I had a table of my own, I used yarn and pins stuck into the carpet of my studio to figure out a floor layout. So
Yeah.
genuinely just, there are lots of ways you can do like masking tape on a smooth floor. If you have a carpet that you can stick like normal pins into, you can put that out that way. So there are multiple ways. Get crafty with however you need to map out your space.
Yeah. Thank you. Good advice. Lucy Perkins.
Hi there. I was wondering, do you have any recommendations on like using Square versus just Venmo or Cash, or is there like one that people have found more popular over the years? I know Venmo is just super widespread now.
Val, would you like to answer that since we just did that presentation for the youth makers?
We suggest to offer as many options as you possibly can. If you don't want to use Square, then I would say Venmo and Cash. If you don't want to use Venmo, I would say Square and Cash. You're more likely to not miss a sale if you can offer at least 2 options. I know checks are old school, but I would not take personal checks. Bring enough cash to make $150 change. If you do the Venmo, just make sure your code is at least printed big enough that people can note, just like the pricing stuff Trisha was talking about. Also make the types of payments you take visible as well on your table.
In terms of like a credit card system, if you're looking at Square versus like say PayPal, I've had feedback over the years that Square is a little bit more user friendly. And if you have if you have like a Zelle account or a Venmo account or Apple Pay account or anything like that, you can, have QR codes, different QR codes for each one for people to scan. We've had makers have a sign that has, and then they just say, okay, you owe me $45, and someone scans their Venmo and then they send them $45, or they scans their Apple Pay or Cash App or all that crazy stuff that exists now. Home Tweet Homes, what is your question?
Sorry about that. Thank you. So I saw my question was actually answered in the share, but I wanted to direct it to you, Trisha. Do people use their canopy tents inside?
Yeah, let me find, there's a great picture in here. Wait, there it is. This is one of my favorite makers. I can't remember the name of her business. I can't remember who she was. I loved her with all of my heart. This was a 10 by 10 pop-up tent that she only came to Handmade Arcade once. She made these fuzzy animals and she sewed this top and she used that. So you can do whatever you want in terms of creating a booth for yourself, just as long as it stays within the 10 by 10 or 8 by 8 or 20 by 10 parameters or whatever booth size you paid for.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Inside the Fox Den. Shell, how do you say your name?
Chelsea,
Chelsea,
Chelsea.
okay.
But 2 things. One, if you guys want to work like in a 3D model, the app SketchUp is free. It takes a little bit of time to learn, but it's great to kind of like lay out and figure out how you want to plan your booth. That's what I'm doing. And so question number 2, I know like for a 10 by 10 booth, you get the 8-foot table. If that doesn't work out, can you request a 6-foot table for the 10 by 10 booth?
No, it's way too much to coordinate that. I'm sorry.
Okay.
You can
Okay,
bring a
not a problem.
6-foot table for yourself.
Okay.
So,
One thing too is if you decide not to use your given table that's provided to you in that space, if you fold it up and you put it out, correct me if I'm wrong, Trisha, the
Don't
Teamsters
fold
will
it, just pull it. You can just pull it into the center of the aisle.
and the Teamsters will come
The
and take
teachers
it
will
from
come
you.
around and pick
So,
them up. Yeah, yeah. There's a possibility I may send around a survey. So the convention center, we go back and forth about whether or not we put tables in every booth or we don't put tables in some booth. It's really complicated to like work that out. There's a chance I might send around a survey at some point saying, if you don't want to use your table, let me know and we won't put one in your space. But that makes it, we used to do that. It can be complicated because then someone gets inevitably gets to their space and they don't have a table when they should. So that's tough. Do I understand the new bag mandate in Pittsburgh? I've read wording from the city, but I have heard different from others. I, honest to golly, gee willikers, have not even thought about that at all, Becky. That is a great question. I mean, we are not a retail chain store, and you people are possibly purchasing breakable items that need to be packaged. If you have, I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I guess that's a question I should ask the convention center about. As it stands right now, I would say do what you normally do. We have not been given any directions otherwise on that front. Does anybody else have any insight on that?
I do have an answer, if that's helpful.
Yeah, I do. I love
They
it.
will allow a rundown period, which I believe goes until February, where you can use the plastic bags that you have in hand. I guess they've decided that that's a period of time that would let people work through the plastic bags that they have in stock. And then after that, you'll have to not only not use plastic bags, but you're supposed to be able to prove that you've charged for paper bags. But you keep that money yourself. So I'm not exactly sure why they require you charge it, other than that they want people to bring their own bags.
And that's something also you can say that is built into the overall price. As like sort of like just overhead for the event. Thank you, Lucy. That is very helpful. So we don't have to worry about that for 2023. And then I don't have to worry about it ever again because this is my last Handmade Arcade as the executive director. So you'll have to ask next year's executive director about that.
Boo.
What was that?
I didn't boo. I didn't say anything.
MPA, you have to separate out the tax on receipt if you do. Oh, okay. Lucy charges taxes and it's never been a problem. Fantastic. Tables are provided. Yes. Oh, let's do this. Let's talk about, let me show you something that's amazing. Super, super amazing. I have a disorder called oversharing. And as such, there is a page on the website 2020. Well, I'm logged in right now because I was making updates, but the 2023 vendor info page has everything you could possibly need. All the vendor booth sizes, how it's going to work, how many tables you'll get, the sizes of your tables and chairs, if you do not need to use them, what to do with them, the details about load in, Saturday details, the event map is coming soon. Oh, very important information. If you need a hotel room for Friday night, we now have the link is on the website. You can book at the Westin William Penn for $162. I don't know, parking you'll have to figure out on your own, which I already talked about. But the big news is if you need a hotel room for Saturday, there's a home Steelers game on Sunday. So there are no hotel rooms available downtown. There haven't been for a long time. So my suggestion to you is I did make 2 room blocks a little further out. One is near the airport and one is in South Point, which I think is also kind of near the airport in Canonsburg. The Marriott Pittsburgh Airport, it's about a 30-minute drive and it's $139. Honestly, I don't, if you need to spend the night somewhere in Pittsburgh and you're driving home, my suggestion for you would be look at the map, look at your route home, pack your car up, drive about 30 to 45 minutes outside the city on your route home and find a place to stay that'll be less expensive. We go through the Marriott because the Westin gives us such a good deal. They then give us the Saturday ones, and I don't want to like try and mess with that right now. So that's my suggestion to you if you need to stay for Saturday. The reservation for Friday night, The cutoff date is Friday, November 10th. We have, I believe, 60 rooms reserved. If we run out, when you go to log in, when you go to make your reservation, it's going to make it look like there's only one room left. There's not. But if you do go there and it has sold out, please message me right away and I can try to get them to add more to our block. And then this also has about all the tickets, where you can buy the tickets, all the things, the directions, location, all the parking garage information, about the Wi-Fi. It tells you exactly how to get onto the Wi-Fi. It goes step by step how to do it. And then there's a list of what to bring. I have a show list PDF you can download, the layers, and then here's some just some extra tips and information. Information about volunteers. If you need help, if you're on your own, don't forget you can come to the welcome table. Info about taxes, insurance. The COVID-19 policy is still on there. We're just following the CDC, which right now is, do whatever you want. If you're sick, stay home. If you have COVID and you can't come, let me know. You can send other people to sell for you. Or if you're a little bit sick and you just want to wear a mask, just don't tell anybody. I didn't say that out loud. I whispered it. Virtual catalog info coming soon. And again, my phone number is way down here. If you do text me, please let me know who you are and your maker name. Because I don't have your numbers programmed into my phone. And make sure you let me know what you need. So let's see what else. Sales tax, more about tax. Backdrops for, yes, recommended. Any info on what's happening for you, Handmade Arcade post 2023? What does that mean? I don't know what that question means.
You're
From Eric.
leaving. You're leaving us. Where
Oh yeah, I know. I don't
happening
have a
after you're
plan.
gone?
I don't have a plan. I have some things happening. Possibly. So the thing is that I love this job. I love working with you guys. I love you guys. I love the markets and I love the makers and I love that aspect of it. The running of the nonprofit and trying to get funding for it has become really, really hard. And I'm only one person and we haven't been able to raise enough money to hire another person. And I burnt out really badly last year at the end of the holiday market. And I really struggled this year. And my husband and my two daughters who are 20 and 16 who grew up, my very first Handmade Arcade I ever did, I was pregnant with my 16-year-old in 2006. So my daughter, when I say my daughters grew up coming to this event, like they grew up coming to this event. After last year's event, they just kind of watched me fall apart and they've been asking me for months to think about doing something different. And it took from January to August for me to hear them. So yeah, I don't know what I'm going to do. I have every intention of participating in as however I can to help the new director. And I have every intention of getting a job that pays me a lot more money so I can come next year and buy all the stuff I've never been able to afford to buy. So hopefully you will be there selling that stuff that I want to buy. But yeah, I don't have a plan.
I was shocked to hear that it was just you, like,
Yeah,
running
it's hard to
things.
believe.
So I'm not surprised that you're burnt out. And I mean, everything that you've done, like, this is my favorite show to do. You're so thorough with everything. So we appreciate all the groundwork that you put in.
Thank you,
I
Erin.
will say that there's a lot of behind the scenes stuff happening to make sure that the show stays awesome. Just, Trisha won't be at the helm, but we can all wear Trisha masks and
No, you don't have to. Either someone else can do this, other people can do this. Sam and Val are on the planning committee. They are incredibly helpful. They are volunteers. They help me. Samantha Bauer right there, he answers my phone calls. She answers me when I'm laughing, when I'm crying, when I just need to vent. This is not just I'm the only paid employee, but I'm not the only person that works really hard. Other people who volunteer and work really hard. And they're all really appreciated and loved. And yeah, but
we're going to work really, really hard to keep her legacy going and make sure she can just come and visit and relax. And we're not going to see what happened in another city recently. We're going to keep this kicking ass. So don't worry. And we're going to get Trisha a really good job that pays great money. So we have good plans for next year.
I mean, if anybody has any leads, feel free to send them my way. Simone, please don't bring a 20-foot trailer to unload your products on Friday, a 25-foot trailer. That feels really big to me. Why do you need so much? Are you still on the call? That's big. No? Okay. Well, I don't know what'll happen there, but I sure hope you need that. There will no, you cannot use any of the walls. If you have a wall behind you, you can't hang anything on the convention center walls. It's super, super rude. They get real mad. No sidewall. Yeah, you can have sidewalls. Business Venmo. Yeah, you will absolutely get nailed if you're using personal Venmo. That is good advice, Lucy. Thank you. PayPal, Zettle has to be business. Bags, we went over that. Oh, Lucy's offering, I believe rooms at her house. I think that's what I'm seeing.
False. I'm advertising that I will let people know if we're there, because like 10 miles in Pittsburgh can be 10 minutes or an hour and a half.
You're right.
So
You're right, Lucy.
if anyone wants to stay here, you're more than welcome, but this is where you can stay. But like Pittsburgh is we have like a 2-lane highway going into a major city. So that's what I was offering.
Okay, so if you decide not to stay at the West Inn or need another hotel and you want advice from a native, put it in the Facebook group and we will let you know if that's a good idea or not. And you're right, Lucy, because my sister-in-law came in a couple summers ago for my older daughter's high school graduation, and they were going to rent an Airbnb, and I was like, don't do that. That's 45 minutes away. Like, that's crazy. So when they thought it, like on a map, it looked like it would be like 5 minutes. So any advice on how much money to invest in preparing? That's dependent on what you make. Kai, if you're still on the call, feel free to message me privately and I will be happy to talk to you about your products and give you some like personalized advice on that one. Your business needs to be listed as on the insurance policy as additionally insured. If you have questions about that, I can send you a sample of a policy. I think that's Home Tweet Home. I don't know if he's still on. I have no idea about parking a U-Haul van in one of the garages, Aaron. I apologize. Sorry.
All
You
good.
could call or go online.
Yeah, I'll scope it out. I can let you know what I find out.
Yeah. Okay. I think that those are all of the questions. Is there anybody else that's still on that may have another question?
Hi, I was wondering, did you say you were going to share our load-in times on this call or?
No, I haven't made the map yet. I mean, I started the map, but I haven't I have to wait for the convention center to approve it, and I just sent it to our event planner today. So once she approves it, that I didn't like over or underestimate the square footage, I will then number it, assign tables, and send out the load-in times. That'll come probably like November 10th or so, sometimes maybe not even till the 15th. It'll be sometime between 11 and 3, 11 a.m. and 3 p.m.
I have a question.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, what's your question?
So I'll have my 2 kids with me. They're 16 and 19 and very helpful, but I was thinking of like, instead of on Saturday having them there the whole day, like maybe having them Uber in at like noon, between noon and like 3 or so. Is that a good idea, or should they just come and?
I would have them come at like, it's the most busy from between like 11 and 3. So if you're going to want help, I would have them come, I think if you want to have them come in sometime between 11 and 12, and then, but no later than that, because it does get really busy. Like the doors open at 11 to the general public, and it gets really crowded really fast. So if you're on your own for the early bird, you'll be fine. But if you need helpers, I would bring them in more like 11 if you can get them up and out the door by then. I know my 16-year-old is tough on that one. So yeah.
We're coming from Cincinnati, so I was a little concerned also about the Friday load in. I know we can get there by like 1. But yeah, I'll send.
But you're not, where are they come? They're gonna come and stay with you for the night, Friday night.
I'll coming up there to Pittsburgh. We're gonna be there the weekend. But I was thinking like,
where are you? Do you know where you're staying? Are you gonna get a room at the?
I got Airbnb, and I'm gonna have to like ask someone who lives there because it's saying 12 minutes away, but I'm nervous now.
It might, if it's saying 12 minutes away, they should be fine. You can email me, Trisha@handmadearcade.org, or put it on the Facebook group. We'll help you figure it out. And it takes about 5 hours to get from Cincinnati.
Yeah.
So, and we'll send you a load in time, and it'll all work. It will all work out. It'll It always all works out.
The
So
nice
don't
thing
stress
about Friday night is that you can keep setting up while people are coming around because
Yeah.
it's very relaxed and chill. And so if you're still making tweaks to your booth or you're still getting things ready, people don't seem to mind. Like you'll make some money, you won't make Saturday money, but it's just like a nice bonus that you can be all done by Friday night and go chill and rest and then walk in Saturday morning ready to go. So I always say like it doesn't even matter if you make money Friday night. It just you have that time to get everything the way you want it. You don't feel rushed. You don't feel stressed. So you'll be good, even if you come all the way from Cincy.
We have quite a few makers that come in from Cincinnati and they do really well. So we're happy to have you. Anything else?
Did you say that we needed like a cart or something to get the stuff from our car to our booth?
Yeah, so if you decide you don't want to drive in onto the lot, onto the floor of the convention center, and you can park on the you'll be able to like park on the loading dock. You can't stay there. You still have to unload, drop off, and then go move your car because other people will need it. But if you want to like do it as fast as possible and not wait for the convention center, and so they won't let you use, so they're Teamsters and it's union, so you cannot you can't push their cart. You can't use a convention center cart. So if you don't want to wait and you don't want to wait in line to like get onto the floor to pull your car up, if you can get all your stuff with a push cart or a wagon or something and park on the loading dock and just walk it in, that's another really quick way to get yourself set up. You can make a couple of trips that way. You don't have to do that, but if you have something, I would recommend it's not a bad idea to bring that with you. And then after the event's over, if you can wheel all your stuff out through the front door instead of coming in through the loading dock again and get your car just down on 10th Street, that's a faster way to load out.
Don't do what my husband did and force us to lift up the entire 6-foot table with all the stuff on it and just carry it out down the escalators.
What?
You might get, yeah, that guy sucks.
He does. I love him, but
when you want to ride home, you got to run, and it's really hard.
He does really put the pressure on you to get out. He really does. I'm going to tell him this year, no more. It's my last year. She's staying as long as I say. So, that Jeff's crazy. Anything else? Any other questions? Is there anything else in the chat that I missed? Great information. Thank you. Fucking Jeff. Lucy. All right, everyone. It was wonderful to see you, see some new faces, see some old faces, or returning faces, not old, some young, beautiful faces. I will continue to send emails and post. Feel free to ask me questions. I'm heading into the like social media phase of things, so I'll try to answer questions quickly. If you need a quick answer or you want, your better bet is to put it on the Facebook page, because like Sam and Val and Lucy and Michelle, a bunch of people, many returning makers are on there. They will give you the advice you need. So it's going to be great. It's going to be the best one yet. I'm going to get on the microphone periodically throughout the day and start singing just for fun, because I like to sing. I'm a bad singer though, so prepare yourself. All right, everyone, I'm going to stop the recording.